Welcome back to Editors Roundtable. We've been talking about a lot of the stocks in focus. Andrew Holland, Chief Executive Officer at Avendus Alternate Strategies, has also been with us. One space that I want to talk about is the auto space. But before that, of course, there are big events to watch out for as well. So let me start with the auto sector because there are plenty of auto companies that will be reporting their numbers next week. So let me just get some of them on board. Now, next week is a big week for the two-wheeler space. So you have names like Hero MotoCorp, TVS Motor that will be reporting numbers on 8th. There's Escorts on the 9th. There's Tata Motors on the 10th. And there's Bharat Forge on the 8th of May as well. So big week for autos. What do you expect? Very strong numbers from the auto sector. Hero MotoCorp Nomura expects a revenue growth of 13%, EBITDA growth of 28% and margin improvement as well. TVS Motor, very strong revenue growth of 22%, EBITDA up 31% and volume growth of 22% this time around. Tata Motors as well, JLR volumes have been very strong, up almost 16% year-on-year in Q4 and margins are expected to increase. But the stock I'm watching very closely is Hero MotoCorp. I'll tell you why. Because it's the cheapest stock in the two-wheeler space currently. It's trading at 18 times forward versus peers like Bajaj Auto trading at 28 times and TVS Motor trading at 37 times. Not just that, Hero MotoCorp has been seeing an improvement in rural demand. April sales were very strong. I leave you with the valuations for the entire sector. They'll come up for you on the screen. Now, the other thing I'm watching out for is the Aadhar housing finance IPO that opens next week, but I'll come to that in a bit. Andrew, you made a mention about the auto stocks, but particularly on names like Hero MotoCorp. Are they attractive for you given the kind of valuation discount that Hero is trading at compared to its peers?
I suppose you've got to look at the question is why is it trading at such a discount? And I think it's partly because of performance over the compared to its peers over the past year or so. And I think the market will need convincing through the results that the worst is behind them, that margin improvement is there. So yes, it looks cheap against the other companies, but there's a reason for it. So I think no need to kind of rush into it now. Wait for the results to come out, see what the commentary is, and see if the improvements there, not just for the last quarter, but obviously quarters going ahead. I think that would be the key.
Okay, the other big event to watch, one of the events is the Aadhar housing finance IPO that opens on the 8th of May. Now, this is India's largest affordable housing financer. It's a Blackstone-backed company. Blackstone owns 99% stake. It caters to the low-cost housing segment and mostly offers loans to retail consumers in the salaried class, in the self-employed class. Very strong earnings growth. Loans have grown 53% compounded since FY16. Business has been strong as well. Last year in FY24, the AUM growth was 20%. And let's not forget, the housing finance market is a very underpenetrated market in India right now. Not even 10% of our GDP is catered to by the housing finance market. So Blackstone is selling stake. It will reduce its stake to 53% after the IPO from 99% currently. The only risk is that Blackstone's fund life is still 2030. So there is a risk of more promoter stake sale as well in the near future. But Andrew, your thoughts here on this IPO particularly and also this segment, right? Housing finance, which is still very underpenetrated.
Yeah, no, it's a sector which we like. Obviously we'll have to see the pricing on the company in terms of the IPO, but I believe it's going to be well bid for. So that's what the market's already telling me. But I think the whole financial sector is something which we've got to keep in mind that. If we're going to be a $5-6 trillion economy, you've got to see the growth in the finance sector. So, housing finance, NBFCs, private banks, and PSU banks all have to continue to grow quite strongly. So it's a theme that I think will continue to play out. Yes, there's pressure on NIMs at the moment for the banks, but I think that seems to be behind us now. And I think this sector, which has been a serial underperformer for the past year, it must be 15% underperformance against the Nifty. I think it's time for that underperformance to reverse itself now.
Okay, and you spoke about the reversal in the financials. You expect them to outperform now, but within the private banks, what would be your top pick? Because Kotak Bank has corrected sharply and now trading at attractive valuations. So is the case with the other private banks as well. Like HDFC hasn't performed for the last 15 to 18 months. What would be your picking order in terms of picking the private bank stocks?
No, I think in terms of, I can't give you the pecking order in terms of stocks, but I think I think what I would say is this: it's a sector which whether you look at those two laggards which you mentioned in terms of HDFC and Kotak, there's a reason for that. There's management changes, but as soon as those management start to step on the pedal, which I'm sure they will, these are the opportunities that you get to buy into quality banks. Where nothing's really changed in terms of the banking itself and the procedures and the policies and how they operate. It's just obviously there's some other banks which have management which have just been performing exceptionally well, and that's the key for those banks. So I'm not saying that these banks haven't got exceptional management. It's just that they see that at the moment it's a transition phase for them. But once they get through this, which I think we're very close to for some of them, then you'll start to see the re-rating of these banks as well.
Okay. All right, Andrew, I wanted to ask you about the metal companies, because we have seen that China is unlocking, and there's one way of playing it. That's some of these ferrous, non-ferrous names have done very, very well. The dollar index as well has cooled off, and there is a bit of a supply glut. And India is well placed. How would you approach some of these metal stocks here in India?
Yeah, no, they've had a great run, and we called it pretty early, so I'm happy with that. I'm probably a little bit kind of more neutral in the very short term. I think with China, I think you're starting to see two things. One is a kind of bottoming out of the economy, and two, you're starting to see a lot more brokers now saying that the countries are buy, and that's based on I think a lot of factors, but. Without going into those, I think that's good for the metal stocks going forward. So I think if you see a pickup in China, that's going to be great news. Not so sure it's great news for some of the auto companies as input costs, but certainly good for the metal stocks.
Andrew, the other big theme that's going to play out is the PSUs. We've seen a big outperformance in the PSU stocks. Anything within the sectors that you like, with the power PSUs or rail PSUs for that matter? Anything that strikes you in terms of valuations and in terms of growth as well?
The themes of whether it's defense stocks, whether it's railway stocks, whether it's the banking PSU stocks, these themes are just not going to go away from us over the next 2 to 3 years. So yes, the valuations sometimes get a bit overextended, and you see those sharp corrections. Those are the times when you just need to buy, because defense spending, green energy, railways, construction, these are what the government's going to be doing. And if you get private capex coming in as well at some point, this whole sector is going to continue to do well. So I think those are the themes that you play in the companies there. You find which are best positioned to really kind of take advantage of the order books that's going to come to them.
Okay, thanks a lot, Andrew, for joining in. And it's curtains down now on Editors Roundtable. But guys, the weekend is back, and my favorite question. I think Umesh has planned.
I know for sure that you're going for the match today.
Yeah,
so I'm glad that
going for
you're
Mumbai KKR. Good. And what about you?
I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to relax and chill.
And what about you guys? Any weekend plans?
I just have a get-together at some friend's house, so going for that.
I know Nigel Pilates, and then the gym, and then swimming.
Yeah,
and then a little bit of, take it easy. Some good music, some good whiskey, yeah.
Okay, cool off a little bit. Okay, guys, you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back bright and early on Monday morning.